Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee of today's date. And prior to us starting the meeting, I would like to read our Pembroke Land Acknowledgement Statement. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of this committee of the city of Pembroke that we reside on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. We'll call the meeting to order. First is approval of the agenda. Moved by Romeo, second by Ed, all in favor, carried. Minutes of the meeting of June 29th having been circulated. Are there any errors or omissions to the minutes? And if so, can we get an adoption? Moved by Marie-José, seconded by Marcel. Any errors or omissions? If not, can we adopt the minutes? Called, adopted, thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll move to new business. And the first one is Z5 2026 housekeeping item. City of Pembroke. Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the planning department has been noting inconsistencies with zonings in Schedule A of the zoning bylaw, as well as where clarity is needed for certain provisions within the zoning bylaw. So we've compiled this housekeeping items list, and the planning department wishes to correct these inconsistencies under the current zoning bylaw 2020-05. So the first set of amendments is regarding accessory dwelling units. There's a number of points here. The first one being that we would like to clarify that accessory dwelling units are granted per lot, not per building. So previously, the planning department had interpreted that the allowable number of accessory dwelling units were permitted by primary dwelling unit, regardless of if multiple primary dwelling units existed on a single lot. However, the Planning Act specifies that the allowable number of accessory dwelling units, they're permitted by lot. So this means that in the case of semi-detached dwellings and row dwellings, that the primary unit must be on its own separate severed lot to be allowed the full permissible number of accessory dwelling units. So this provision is just to bring our zoning bylaw in line with the Planning Act. The next point is the addition of a primary dwelling unit definition to our zoning bylaw. That definition will be that it is the primary dwelling unit is the largest and superordinate single detached dwelling unit, semi-detached dwelling unit, or row dwelling unit on the lot where one or more accessory dwelling units exist. The next point we have is an addition of a minimum dwelling unit size for accessory dwelling units. This provision we are proposing be 400 square feet, which is in line with the zoning bylaw's current minimum dwelling unit size for bachelor units. Previously, we had no minimum dwelling unit size for accessory dwelling units, so this addition will be beneficial. And lastly, on the point of accessory dwelling units, we are proposing to add in the addition of a maximum dwelling unit size for accessory dwelling units. The provision that we are proposing, my report does read 40% of the primary dwelling unit, but it will actually be 80% of the primary dwelling unit. This was just due to how the primary dwelling unit definition was interpreted. So it will be, if you have, for example, a single detached dwelling of 1,000 square feet, and you want to put in an accessory dwelling unit, say into the basement, the accessory dwelling unit can only be 80% of 1,000 square feet. So in this case, the maximum of the accessory dwelling unit would be 800 square feet. All of these proposed amendments are to more accurately reflect the intended nature of accessory dwelling units, as they are intended to be accessory and subordinate to a primary dwelling unit. So we are just strengthening our accessory dwelling unit provisions in the zoning bylaw. Number two, our second main housekeeping item, is public authority and public use. So the definitions of public authority and public use are proposed to be amended to provide greater clarity regarding the entitles to which these definitions apply. The amended definition will specify that a public authority includes the corporation of the city of Pembroke and any boards, commissions, or committees of the city. And similarly, the definition of public use will clarify that it means a building, structure, or lot used for public services by the corporation of the city of Pembroke or any boards, commissions, or committees of the city. So the three subsections have been listed out in the report. Nothing has changed in terms of the substance of the three subsections, save for the only change being clarifying who a public authority is. This revised wording is intended to provide clarity and interpretation of the public authority section of the zoning bylaw. Housekeeping point number 3 is regarding 260 Quarry Road. So this is amending Schedule A of the zoning bylaw to more accurately reflect a past planning application. So 260 Quarry Road was a severance from 2025, and the retained parcel of 250 Quarry Road had and has a site-specific M1-5 zoning that allows for the place of worship that exists on the retained lot. The lot addition that became a lot addition to 260 Quarry Road, as it doesn't contain the place of worship, we no longer need that site-specific zoning. It's going to a general M1 zoning to reflect its actual use. 5 and 7, our next point is 5 and 7 Bennett Street. This is again resulting from severances. So these properties were severed from 9 Bennett Street in 2025. 9 Bennett Street had and will maintain its site-specific R415 zoning. But the only provision of the site-specific zoning is that it grants relief for the existing building on 9 Bennett Street. And as the existing building is on the retained property of 9 Bennett Street, and as these two properties were severed and they are vacant land for future development, they do not require the site-specific R415 reliefs, and they can simply be zoned residential type 4. Point number 5 is regarding 340 Matheson Drive. This housekeeping matter is intended to correct the duplication of a site-specific zoning exception number that was inadvertently assigned to both 340 Matheson Drive and 9 Bennett Street. So to eliminate this duplication, we're just assigning a new site-specific zoning exception number to 340 Matheson Drive, which will be R4-23. So 9 Bennett Street will remain R4-15. This amendment is administrative in nature only. It does not change the zoning provisions or the permitted uses applicable to either property. 140 Quarry Road. This is another case of a severance. This severance was done, these two severances were done in 2025. This is where a portion of the former CN rail, which was zoned open space, was severed from the former railway corridor to become a lot addition to the abutting industrial property. So we are just eliminating the open space zoning that existed for the trail and amending the zoning to a general industrial M1 to match the remainder of the property. Our housekeeping point number 7 is central commercial C3 zone provisions. So the zoning bylaw has, in error since its original passing, contained a maximum number of dwelling units per lot provision of 1 for the C3 zone. Anybody who is familiar with the downtown at all will know that this is simply not the case in real life. This is proposed, so we're proposing that this be removed entirely to reflect actual uses in the C3 zone, where the maximum number of dwelling units is simply dictated by all other applicable provisions being able to be met. So we are simply proposing that this provision be removed. Point number 8 under our housekeeping, accessory uses. A provision is proposed to be added to the accessory uses provisions that accessory use lot coverage shall not exceed main use lot coverage. This is intended to maintain the subordinate nature of accessory uses versus main uses. And our final housekeeping item, number 9, is regarding occupancy restrictions. So the current occupancy restrictions in the zoning bylaw identify structures that shall not be used for human habitation or occupation or activity conducted for gain or profit. We are proposing to amend this section to include tents in the list of prohibited structures, which currently includes mobile homes, trailers, and recreational vehicles. This amendment is intended to clarify the existing occupancy restrictions and ensure that the bylaw addresses temporary structures that cannot be used for habitation. So that is our list of proposed housekeeping amendments. The planning department is recommending the approval of all of the above outlined in this report, as they are consistent with the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, the official plan, and the provincial planning statement. The proposed amendments are administrative in nature, improve the clarity and accuracy of the zoning bylaw, and do not alter the existing planning framework or the intent of the applicable policies.
Can we have a motion, please? Moved by Ian, seconded by Romeo. All in favor of the amendment?
Well, I had
Oh,
one-
I'm sorry.
Questions? and,
Yes, good. Questions? Yes.
Going back to number 2.
Mhm.
No, not that one. The Quarry Road, 140 Quarry Road.
Yes. Number 6.
No, that's not the one. We got number 3, 260 Quarry Road. So that whole piece that was severed and added to the other one was originally zone worship, religious. So there was no taxes. The assessment on that, there were no municipal taxes on that piece of property. But once it becomes part of the manufacturing, the assessment changes, and we now city is able to tax that.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So MPAC does the assessment and valuations of the properties. So they actually assign MPAC's valuation doesn't necessarily line up with the zoning. So MPAC would have received notice of that severance and seen that parcel is being added on to a general industrial parcel, and they should have updated their records to reflect that. So they should have already done this. This amendment is just to clean up on our end, the zoning bylaws end.
Ian,
Can we have Treasury check on that? As a follow-up? Just because impact does sometimes take time and missing.
yes.
I had a question about the first item, the first housekeeping item. Are there any implications from previous decisions stemming from, adding the clarification that it is per lot? Like, have any decisions been made in the past that would have been made? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this won't be effective retroactively.
Okay.
So
It's just going forward.
it's just going forward.
Okay.
This will tighten the provisions so that we don't have any situations that are slipping through that shouldn't.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I do have more questions.
Yes.
So with regards to the property specific housekeeping items on Quarry Road, Bennett Street, Matheson Drive, and another property on Quarry Road, I'm assuming that the owners of these properties have been notified of these, or will they be notified after the decision is made?
They are aware of it.
Okay,
Most of them were generally aware of it when they originally applied for their severance. By doing it this way, we're actually saving time and money and process by not making them go through an individual zoning bylaw amendment for a tiny sliver of property that the change is administrative in nature for. So from doing their past applications for consent, all of these individuals would be aware of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Romain.
Regarding number 7, central commercial. This doesn't make any changes. In the central commercial, you can't have an apartment or living quarters on the first floor. So that doesn't change that.
Through you, Mr.
Yes.
Chair. No, that provision will not change that at all.
Okay.
Further questions? Yes. Madam Trustee.
I'm curious about human habitation on like the point number 9. I agree, like a tent is not a form of habitation, like long-term. I'm curious, where is this coming from? Is this just to include this form of temporary dwelling or temporary, I don't know, camping, I guess? And yeah, a little bit of context would help.
Through you, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, that is to add to our list of restrictions that people can live in. We've been having some issues with people in tents. And so we just wanted to add that to the list that you can't live in a tent.
Well, I agree that it's not an acceptable form of living. Although, I mean, I'm still in support of the motion, but it's not going to fix the issue, is it?
No.
Okay.
Any further questions? All in favor of the amendments? Opposed, carried. Thank you very much. Next is B 526, A 626, A 726, 1103 Bronx Street and 1105 Bronx Street. Tony Romanelli. Is there anyone here support to speak to the, yes, first you, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Confused here.
So our applicant for this application, Tony Romanelli, has submitted a site plan proposing the severance of his existing lot at 1105 Bronx Street for the purpose of creating 2 separate lots for future semi-detached dwellings with 2 accessory dwelling units for a total of 4 dwelling units, 2 dwelling units per lot. So this is actually an example of this is permissible based on the changes we did in the last report. If this lot is not severed, it is not permitted to have 2 accessory dwelling units on each side. So the existing property of 1105 Bronx Street is zoned residential type 2 by the zoning bylaw. The R2 zoning permits the use of semi-detached dwelling and accessory dwelling units. Currently, the property is vacant. The proposed retained lot would maintain the civic address of 1105 Bronx Street, while the proposed severed lot would become known as 1103 Bronx Street. Both the proposed retained and the proposed severed lot have proposed frontages of 29.65 feet, depths of 120 feet, and approximate lot areas of 3,558 square feet. Both will maintain their existing R2 zoning, but the proposed severance results in a lot frontage deficiency of 3.16 feet, short of the required 32.81 feet for semi-detached dwellings on their own lot, hence the trigger for a minor variance for each lot. So the requested reliefs from minimum lot frontage requirements can be viewed as being minor in nature at only 3.16 feet each, or 10% relief, and being only a single item of R2 zone provision relief. They can be viewed as being desirable and consistent with the character of the neighborhood because this area of the west end of the city has many properties of similar or less frontage. Aside from the minimum lot frontage requirement, that is the subject of the 2 minor variances, the proposed severance and the proposed semi-detached dwellings meet and or exceed all other applicable provisions of the R2 zone, including minimums for lot area, front yard setback, rear yard setback, interior side yard setback, lot depth, and dwelling unit areas. So as such, these applications can be viewed as being in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. Now, regarding parking regulations, the zoning bylaw requires 2 standard parking spaces per primary dwelling unit for the semi-detached dwellings and a single standard parking space for each accessory dwelling unit. This brings our total required parking to 3 spaces each for 1103 Bronx and 1105 Bronx. The submitted site plan shows these required parking spaces. However, they are configured in 18-foot wide driveways. The zoning bylaw states that the width of a driveway shall not exceed 30% of the width of the front lot line or 6.1 meters, whichever is lesser, except that a driveway shall not be reduced to less than 10 feet in width. In this case, 30% of the frontages is 8.9 feet. So we are bumped up to the total allowable driveway width being the minimum of 10 feet. As such, 8 feet of relief is being requested to allow for the proposed 18-foot driveways to accommodate the required 3 standard parking spaces per property. This requested relief from parking regulations can be viewed as being minor in nature, and the proposed relief can be viewed as being desirable within the neighborhood as it allows for all required parking to be accommodated on lot as opposed to on street. Regarding the official plan, the property is designated residential by Schedule A of the official plan. These applications are strongly in keeping with the intent of the official plan because the proposed severance and variances, they would allow for 2 new lots to be created for future residential development within an already built up area with existing servicing. So again, these applications strongly meet the residential directive of the official plan. The official plan speaks to parking. It states that it is intended that the parking capacity in the city shall be increased to satisfy anticipated increasing traffic volumes and parking needs arising from new development and redevelopment, and to alleviate the inadequate parking capacity in areas already developed. So the proposed widened driveways at 1103 and 1105 Bronx Street will directly meet this aim of the official plan, providing increased off-street parking in the residential neighborhood. Both of the proposed lots are located within 50 meters of Pembroke Street West, the city's sole arterial roadway, designated by Schedule B of the official plan. As such, this location will provide for prime vehicular transportation links throughout the city via Pembroke Street West's connections to collector and local roads. Regarding servicing, both the official plan and the provincial planning statement 2024 both direct that development should occur where there is adequate municipal water and sanitary sewer services. Full servicing is available on Bronx Street. The requirement of a building permit for the future development on the proposed lots will trigger the approval of the operations department to ensure adequate servicing capacity. Regarding the provincial planning statement 2024, as these applications will support future residential infill within a previously developed area and introduce new housing options, resulting in a net increase in residential units. These applications are in keeping with the provincial planning statement. And in terms of conditions, a 5% parkland dedication fee would be required to be paid for the proposed severed land as per the Planning Act. A registered plan of survey depicting these severed lands would be required to be supplied to the Secretary Treasurer of this committee. So subject to conditions, the Planning Department is recommending that the committee approve the applications for consent to sever and 2 minor variances for 1103 and 1105 Bronx Street.
Thank you, Owen. Is there anyone here representing the application, and would you like to speak?
No, the only thing that everything sounds kosher. I think it's on already, isn't it? The only thing that I've always, it's the parking, the 9-foot driveways. They should, to me, should be at least a minimum of 10. I was gonna propose, because it's a level entry dwelling that I'm putting up there for handicap, 9 feet, you're not gonna get out of there. Like, put 2 cars side by side to open doors fully, you're never gonna open them in 9 feet. I think this has been a concern even in the past. I think there was a counselor here one night too that also made a comment on that. Should be a minimum of at least 10 feet per car. That's the only concern that I have. And I've always had it. Owen knows that.
Yeah.
I've always had.
And your
that,
name, sir?
Pardon?
Your name, sir?
Tony
Oh,
Romanelli.
thank you. Questions? Yes, Ed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Romanelli. I grew up in that neighborhood, so I'm familiar with the property. There's a large grade elevation difference between Bronx Street and Pembroke Street. And it shows that there'll be 38 feet from the rear of the building to the perimeter of the property line in the next one. Is there any fill going to be brought in there to level off the property? Because there's such a large grade, especially with torrential rain. It's like a climate's changing, you know?
It'll be a walkout basement, so that the grade is going to stay down.
The
there,
grade will stay?
But we have to still bring up, I think, a bit to the back, not much, because we got to watch our neighbors as well, right?
So you don't think there's any issues with water or transfer of water?
I haven't seen anything.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Romeo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So you, that was the concern I had, was the change in elevation from the street down into the homes. And I sure hope that the change in the parking requirements won't make it worse. I think that it's important that the parking is off the street. Bronx Street is becoming almost like a collector, especially now it goes into the mall and you're going to have a McDonald's there. You're even going to be busier. And so I think it's very important that the parking is off. And if planners feel that they feel comfortable with this change, I'll go with it. But
Yes, Owen.
Through you, Mr. Chair, regarding drainage. So drainage is addressed during the building permit application phase. It is the responsibility of the applicant to submit a plan that shows that drainage will not negatively impact neighboring properties. So that will be addressed at a future stage.
Thank you. Yes, Ian.
So I certainly support this. I like, I also grew up in the West End, right around from Councillor Giacono, actually on the corner of Bronx and Wilfrid. I just want to say to staff that I am most encouraged that we kept the parking number requirements and instead recommended the widening. I think that is the better way of going about it. So my question to staff would be, so we're allowing for the slightly wider driveway. The gentleman said that, you know, he's hoping that this will be able to be used by people with accessibility issues. I'm wondering if there's a reason why not to give the additional 2 feet that he's mentioning.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So when the application was evaluated, the zoning bylaws requirements for a standard parking space, which is all that's required for this property, because of the number of dwelling units, there is no barrier-free parking space required. So the standard width for a standard parking space is 9 feet wide. So we're granting, with the idea in mind that we're trying to keep this minor in nature, as minor as possible, we granted the zoning bylaws standard width for 2 parking spaces. I believe if the committee so chooses, that the decision can be made that if you wish to grant a wider width.
What would be what's the width of so basically we're doing 9 and 9. What's the width for an accessible width?
See, the other issue that I have, in order to create the 3 spaces, the garage is classified as 1 space. So now if you have a 10-foot wide garage and a 9-foot space, how do you get clear access to that garage? So if you go 10 and 10, gives you a straight shoot into the garage.
Through you, Mr. Chair, in answer to your question, Councillor Keel, the standard width for a barrier-free parking space according to the zoning bylaw is 11.48 feet. So that would put us at 23 feet. If we're going for the defined barrier-free parking space, which we don't have to in this case.
If we did one barrier-free and one standard, what would be the? I can do math, just not,
I was going to say math was never my strong point.
well, it wasn't mine either. That's why I went to law school.
20.5 feet.
Can I marinate on this one and see if anyone else has thoughts on it?
Ed,
Through you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Romanelli had hinted about a handicap, availability. So is it my indication that you're suggesting that this may be used for a handicap type
Well,
of
it's
resident?
available because it's a lot, most of the units we build are split entry. So they usually have 7 stairs up, 7 stairs down. So this is gonna be a level because the lot drops to the rear. So
Right.
it'll be a walkout basement in the rear, but the front will be fairly level to the road.
But you're saying that in
So
order
it's-
to
it's
allow
a-
the individual to open, if there's a wheelchair or
Well,
whatever.
if there's a wheelchair or a walker or anything, there's really no stairs. Maybe one step up.
But
in
you're
the
asking
house.
for wider allowance.
Yeah, an extra foot on each
Okay,
one. So
I
it's
just want to
basically
clarify.
20 feet versus
Want to
18 feet.
clarify that. Thank you.
Owen,
Through you, Mr. Chair. So if I'm understanding correctly that the applicant would be satisfied with 20 feet,
Yes.
then I would propose that the decision or the recommendation can be revised from 18 feet to 20 feet.
Owen? Ian?
Close, close. I would move that we accept the adjusted recommendation, subject to the conditions proposed.
Seconder? Yes, okay. Seconder is Romeo. Any further discussion? All in favor of the amended? Carried, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So sorry, through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
These applications, the final decision rests with this committee. So notices of decision will go out tomorrow, although I will have to contact each of you in terms of getting a signature on a revised decision. But if I can get the decisions out tomorrow, that triggers the 20-day appeal period. After the 20-day appeal period, Mr. Romanelli, the minor variances are considered final, but then you have up to 2 years to meet the conditions of the provisional consent to sever. Okay, thank you very much.
thank you very much. Past decisions update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we had a busy meeting at our last committee meeting of June 29th, 2026. There was an application for red line revisions and amendments to conditions of draft approval for subdivision 47T 90003, La Pointe Pembroke Development Subdivision. With the recommendation of this committee, this moved to a public meeting of council on July 14th. The proposal will be before council as bylaw on August 11th. So that one is still in process. The remaining applications, a minor variance for 538 Maple Avenue, a minor variance for 660 Pembroke Street East. These have both successfully passed their 20-day appeal periods and are considered final. And lastly, 2 consents to sever for 435 Moffat Street and 439 Moffat Street. These provisional consents have also successfully passed their 20-day appeal periods. And so the applicant now has 2 years from the original decision date to meet the conditions of the decision. Thank you.
Any questions? Next meeting is scheduled for Monday, August the 31st, 2026. Could I have a motion to adjourn? Marcel, second by Josie. Oh, we don't need it. That's good. Thank you.